Hello, crime fighters. This is Straight Talk, and I am Ray, the DA. A philosopher once said that those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Well, I'm afraid we're about to repeat a disastrous experiment with the public safety and security of our citizens right here in Kentucky. In the 1960s, America's crime rate went through the roof because we quit sending criminals to prison. It took law enforcement 40 years of putting these violent and repeat offenders back into prison to finally bring the crime rate back down where it was in the 1960s. Our legislature seems to be heading back down that same failed past. We are now repeating that same horrible mistake we made in the 60s. Thanks to a new law passed by our legislature, convicted criminals are being released from prison early, and others aren't being sent to prison in the first place. Why? Best I can figure out is because we either didn't learn our lesson then, or our legislature doesn't rank the safety and security of our citizens as a top priority. Why? It all started when a University of Kentucky professor proclaimed that we have too many criminals in prison. He said, and get this, some meaningful reduction in the prison population would begin to sound a necessary warning that there are limits beyond which the state should not go in its effort to protect the public against crime. Our elected representatives in the legislature obviously agreed with that philosophy, and they passed that law. But think about what that professor said. There are limits to what our state should do to protect us from crime and criminals. Don't you wonder whose safety and security is not worth protecting? I would guess that most of our legislators and policymakers do not live in neighborhoods which are affected every day by the fear of crime. That's not the case for our fellow citizens who must live in high crime neighborhoods. They deal with the fear of crime every day. Those are the neighborhoods to which these released prison inmates will return. Unfortunately, those high crime neighborhoods that I'm talking about are predominantly lower socioeconomic and predominantly minority. So is it the safety and security of the residents of our high crime neighborhoods that's not worth protecting? Certainly sounds like that's what they're saying to me. It seems to me that our fellow citizens who live in these high crime neighborhoods have just as much right to feel safe as the legislators, policymakers, prosecutors, all of us, as the people that live in those neighborhoods. If you agree, find out who your representative is and let them know. Otherwise, we're just talking and they're not listening. I'm Ray the DA, and this is Straight Talk.